What happens inside your rifle's barrel will affect your gunsmithing, shooting, and maintenance. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to use a borescope to inspect your rifle's barrel. We'll also walk through some of the common things you're going to encounter, find, and troubleshoot with a borescope. Hey guys, Gavin here from ultimatereloader.com. I've been using borescopes of the analog and digital variety for years, and let me just tell you, when you need one, you need one. It's super critical to troubleshoot different types of issues, know when your bore is truly clean, and I definitely end up using them quite a bit when I'm building rifles, cutting chambers, and things of the like on the metal lathe. So what I want to do in this video is first set expectations. It's really easy to be led down the wrong path with a borescope. We're going to talk about types of borescopes. We're going to do a brief recap of the Lyman Borecam 2.0. We're going to talk about how to set up and then do a basic barrel inspection for a bolt-action rifle barrel. And then we're going to go through a bunch of different types of common inspection routines based on different types of things that you're likely to find and potentially want to troubleshoot. Okay, so first off, I just want to underscore the point that things aren't always what they appear with a borescope. You might insert the borescope into your rifle's bore and just freak out. What is going on here? This does not look good. Oh my word, what's happening, right? And in reality, you can borescope a barrel. It can appear really rough condition. You might see things that look like they're big issues, and it just turns out not to be. So you need to learn how to take some of these things with a grain of salt and have the discernment to know what's going to be an issue and what is not going to be an issue. Okay, basically there's two different types of borescopes. You've got the analog variety and the digital variety. This is an example of the analog variety. This is the Hawkeye, and basically the light shines down the tube, reflects off of the surface in the barrel, comes back, goes straight to your eye. You can manually focus here with the borescope itself. That's actually this end right here. And it's very simple, but the downside is you only see what you're going to see. You're not going to get photos or video. You can't see it on your device, that kind of thing. It can be very unergonomic to get behind the lens, and that's where this 90-degree eyepiece comes in handy. And still, as I turn this piece, I'm actually turning the focus. So a great tool can be a little bit awkward and also is incredibly expensive. An entire set can be a couple $1,000s, for instance, right? Enter the age of the digital borescope. The digital borescope works much in the same way. There's a light, typically an LED light source. The light is projected down the tube, out the mirror. It reflects off of the surface that you're viewing. The image reflects off the mirror, back up through the tube to a camera. The camera transmits that picture via USB or wireless. This happens to be wireless here, and you view it on a screen. Now the great thing about that is you can just view your device and not even have to get in front of or behind the borescope itself, right? Much more ergonomic. It is something that you have to power or charge and connect to your device. But you can also record images and video, which when you're running a gunsmithing business, or if you want to share it online to get other people's perspectives, is incredibly valuable. So this is the borescope. This is the Lyman Borecam 2.0 that we're going to be using in this video. I have an entire video that was dedicated to getting it out of the box, talking about all the speeds and feeds, a bunch of demos and that kind of thing. Brief recap here. So this is new for 2024. It's the latest and greatest from Lyman in their Borecam line of products. It's supported on Apple and Android. We use it on the iPad and on the iPhone here in the Ultimate Reloader shop. It supports 22 cal to 40 cal. It's 26 inches in length in terms of the length of barrel that you can inspect. It comes with 5 mirrors from 22 cal to 40 cal. It can be used either in the straight-on view or with the 90-degree mirror. We'll show both. It's specifically designed for the gun industry, and it has an MSRP of $199, which is awesome given that it is completely self-contained and it has Wi-Fi built in. Okay, so the barrel we're going to look at first is this 6-arc bolt-action barrel. This is one of the builds that you saw here on the channel. Let's talk briefly about the sections of the barrel that are of particular interest. You've got the main section of the chamber, you've got the neck area, you've got the throat area, you've got the section of rifled barrel bore, and then we've got the muzzle and corresponding crown area. And what I've got here is I've got the Lyman Borecam 2.0 with no right angle mirror. As you can see here, we can see straight on down the bore. You know, there's even a hair there. We can see just about everything here. We've got the shoulder area there, the neck area. We're going to get into where the throat is right here. You can see there's 5 lands and grooves here, those spiral features. And we can just kind of take a look down here. I think I ran some cleaning patches through this bore, if I'm remembering correctly. With this view, I'm just looking at basic characteristics and are there any primary obstructions, you know, that sort of thing. You can go all the way out here to where the crown is. Another thing that we can do here is if we're taking a look down the bore, we can inspect for straightness of the bore here, like so. And it's going to help if we have illumination at the other end, but you can see here that everything looks nice and straight. You can actually see the curvature of the bore if you've got an actual bend in the barrel, right? We can flip this around now and take a look at, this is a really dirty crown area. That needs a complete deep cleaning, as you can see there, right? And we can kind of see the edges of the crown there. Okay, so what we want to do for most of our inspection chores is to screw on this 90-degree view mirror, right? And that's going to give us a view that's perpendicular to the axis of the rod. All right, so we're going to start with kind of the chamber view. And we can set the focus on this by backing off the jam nut and then screwing the right angle mirror up and down the shaft there. And that's an important consideration here when we're doing that. Okay, so you can see both the longitudinal view and the right angle view here because the mirror does not take up the entire view. Looks like we've got some carbon here on the chamber walls. And we could really scrub that and see if there's any pitting that's occurred there. Okay, so here we are into the neck area and then the throat. The neck area is right there. You can see the end of that. Right at the end of the neck area is where we're going to see that transition to the rifling. And if we spin this, we can kind of look around and see that throat transition area, right? We've definitely got a bit of carbon going on here. As we can see, it's kind of black. The bore overall, though, looks nice. No tool marks, which is what you would expect with, you know, a custom quality barrel, right? And then we'll go all the way out here to the crown area, and you can see how nice and crisp that crown transition is by spinning. We'll do a lathe demo a little bit later and see how much easier this is when it's on the lathe, especially for the chamber section there. That's what we'll cover for that. And then we can also spin this around and take a look at the crown the other way, right? So here we are. There's the edge of the crown, just viewed from the other side. And like I said previously, this whole, the entire end of the muzzle there and the crown area needs a really good cleaning, but that's a good crisp transition for the crown. So that's a basic barrel inspection. Next, let's take a look at some specific considerations and issues. Okay, so let's take a look at what you're going to probably encounter and want to know about most frequently related to cleaning, and that's general carbon and copper fouling and buildup. So what I've got here is, this is a 6.5 Creedmoor barrel from an upper 15, which is a bolt action AR-15. This barrel was not cleaned. Let's see what we can see here. So here's the chamber walls. There's the shoulder area. Looks fairly rough right there. Okay, and then that's the neck area, and then the start of the rifling. So there's our throat transition right there. Looks pretty even. Okay, and then we've got some blackness here which looks like carbon, and then we can kind of see more of the copper hue here a little bit further down the bore. Like right there, for instance. It would be really interesting to give this a good cleaning. There's some more copper there, as you can see. Give this a good cleaning and see, how much of this that we could get out. And that's a cleaning discussion. Here's our crown. Give it a quick look-see here. Edge looks pretty decent. Yeah. So with some cleaning, we could come back with the borescope again and take a look at how well we address those issues. Okay, so fire cracking and throat erosion is another issue that you're likely to find on some of these high-performance cartridges. It could be a 22-250, or it could be a 300 Win Mag, or something like a 6mm Creedmoor. Those high pressures and temperatures sometimes can compromise the steel, and that's something that we can tell very easily with the bore cam. This is the 22-250 barrel that I took off the very first rifle that I chambered. Let's get into this Winchester Model 70 chamber and bore and see what we've got there. Okay, so you can see right there, right away, some pretty heavy fire cracking there. Looks like a little bit of a carbon ring, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Wow. Got another barrel for the carbon ring kind of demo. And pretty pronounced. It kind of looks like cracks in mud. We've got a little bit of copper going on there as well. Fire cracking. This is where we can use our distance increments here, right? We're 8 inches into the barrel already. Still, so this is looking a little bit more like tool marks right here. Yeah, that's definitely tool marks. Reaming prior to the rifling process, okay? And the muzzle looks pretty rough as well. I mean, if I was gonna try and see how this barrel shot, what I'd be tempted to do is give it a good cleaning and potentially recrown the muzzle just to see where we were at. But it definitely shows extensive use, but like I said at the beginning of the video, it can look really bad and shoot decent. You really have to shoot the rifle to figure out what exactly it's capable of. If you've been around bolt action rifles long enough, you've probably heard about the dreaded carbon ring. Let's take a look at what that looks like. This is a 6GT, yep, for the BAT TR. I've shot this a fair bit, and if we come in here, this is, where are we at? There's the, that's the shoulder area. Come forward a little bit. There it is, right there. It's in that gap between where the end of the neck is for the brass and where the chamber dimensions transition to the throat area. And you can see that very distinct black line there. If that gets bad enough, that is going to increase pressures, and that means we're going to get erratic groups, erratic velocities, and potentially some unsafe conditions. This video is not specifically about getting rid of the carbon ring. I've heard of people using CLR. You have to be very careful with that. My method is to use an abrasive with a patch, something like JB bore paste, and basically work it out with an abrasive. And then continue to clean the bore, shoot and see if that's solved the problem. If you don't see the carbon ring and you see stable velocities and good groups, you know you're good. Okay, if you want to see rust and pitting, I've got a treat for you. This is my World War II era 6.5 Carcano. I ran some patches through it after I got it surplus, and they were just solid brown rust. Let's see what we're going to encounter here. So here's our crown. I guess this could look worse. You can already see some green there. That's just total oxidized copper right there. Look at that pitting. Look at that. Wow. And here we go. Just tons of oxidized copper here. This is not normal. You're typically going to see copper as kind of brown. and literally that sort of orange copper colored. Look at this. Ugh, there's some pitting right there. Look at that. Wow. Like legit pitting. This is just, wow, just horrible. It makes me want to rebarrel this rifle, even though I really don't need to. Okay, so there we can actually see the rifling here. That's kind of interesting. Because in spots, you can't really even see the rifling. Looks like we've got a 4-groove barrel here. And there we are. Here's the chamber area coming out through here and then out into the magwell. Okay, so working our way back. Okay, so the throat's going to be right about here. It's almost hard to see. This is just a real piece of work. You know, probably from about 1943 or so. I can't recall. There's some extreme pitting right there. You know, it's really a little bit hard to look at, but it just goes to show there's a really wide spectrum of different condition issues with a rifle, and it's educational, if not frightening at times, to use a borescope. So I've taken the Borecam 2.0 and mounted it in a piece of Delrin plastic that's secured in a lathe tool holder. This is similar to a setup that I've run with a wired unit, but this is very convenient. Much prefer this to not have the cords to deal with. And so we can take a look in our chamber here. Let's see what our focus looks like getting into the bore here. That looks good. And as you can see here, we can spin the chuck to get a 360-degree view inside there. And you know, if I'm on the lathe, what I'm typically looking at is what's the quality of the chamber looking like, and how's that throat transition looking, you know, as the reamer is going in, and when we get the chamber cut, do we have any residual tool marks from maybe over drilling or over reaming, that sort of thing. So we get this nice clean view, and one of the things that I do for kind of a check is to spin the chuck and to see if our throat transition is going to be zigging and zagging a little bit. Because if your reamer is off center, that means that your throat transition will be deeper in spots and shallower in spots in terms of the longitudinal placement of them. So taking a quick spin can give you a quick indication on that. And then we can obviously move through and look for different machining marks, imperfections, that sort of thing. So this is definitely a really handy way to inspect barrels on the lathe. So I hope those bolt action rifle barrel demos were helpful with this borescope. I should also note that borescopes can be invaluable if you have an AR-15. Let me show you a brief excerpt of our first Borecam 2.0 video. Okay, so what I've done here is, you can see the gas block screws right here. I've adjusted the rubber bumper so that we're kind of towards the back of the gas block there. Now we can insert the Borecam, and I've got the 30 cal right angle mirror here until the bumper hits there, and just rotate until we find, there it is right there. There's our gas block. Let's go ahead and take a picture. Save that to the camera roll. That actually looks really good. I don't see any burrs there, and that's exactly the kind of thing that we would want to inspect with an AR barrel using a tool like this. So as you can see, inspecting things like your gas port hole are accomplished easily with a borescope, and it can tell you critical information about the performance and the quality of your AR. And to recap, so with the borescope, things can look really, really bad looking through the borescope, and the rifle can shoot pretty decent or even really good. So know to take things with a grain of salt when you're taking a look with the borescope. It's important to keep your mirror clean. You can use a Q-tip with some acetone or rubbing alcohol. It's really easy to get Q-tip lint in there, so be careful with your direction of rotation, that kind of thing. And then also, focus is critical. If you're swapping mirrors or switching between a larger bore like in a pistol and a smaller bore like your 22, you're going to want to make sure you crank the mirror in and out and jam that lock nut so that you have good focus and can see all of those critical details. Couple recap notes about the Borecam 2.0. Lyman was the first to bring an affordable, all-encompassing solution to market specifically for the gun industry in the digital space. The 2.0 version, which is the latest version that we have here, enhances the resolution, quality, and versatility in that you can use it with any device. It is rechargeable with no cords. When I showed the lathe demo, I can't tell you how valuable that is to not have cords tangled up in my machining oil and on all the knobs and levers of the machine, and also keeps your benchtop a lot more clean if you're using it just at home with your phone or your Android tablet or your iPad like what we use here. And also the markings on the rod and this rubber stopper help to pinpoint different areas of the internal bore, specifically with things like, oh, I found some extreme pitting or some machining marks at this particular distance, or I need to go in X number of inches to be right around where that gas port hole is going to be on the AR-15. Okay, so there's a lot more that we could talk about, carbon rings and barrel cleaning. That's all for other videos. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have something specific that you've learned while using your borescope, please drop a comment. If you're using the Borecam 2.0, tell us how you like it. Let's start that discussion down in the comments section. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. If you want to learn lucrative gunsmithing like what I show here on the channel, including building custom rifles and Cerakote plus a whole bunch more, you're going to want to check out the Colorado School of Trades, schooloftrades.edu. Thanks again for watching.